Hello, my name is Dr. Shambles, and this video I'll be explaining how I invest in cards. Now, my community has a good amount of new players, and many of you play budget decks or budget versions of decks. Now, although I don't have much money myself because I am a college broke boy, I do have a way to try and get ahead of the curve and save a good amount of money so I can buy the cards I need, so I don't need to do such a budget version of a deck, and so I can play with, let's quote unquote, the strongest versions of every deck I want to play. When I say this is I cannot afford any special meta deck, I'll get to that, but I can see ahead and find out about a deck that it's good enough and it's cheap enough. So in this video, this is probably gonna be a very extensive video, so I made here a script with some bullet points so I don't lose myself. But yeah, this is going to explain pretty much everything I do to invest in a deck. Now, I would like to say I don't know if this is the most optimal way to find out how to invest in a deck, but it's the way that I've been using and it's working pretty fine. I can at least predict at some extent the amount of money that I'm going to spend on the deck. Besides, this is not going to explain the meta in any way, this is just gonna explain the prices and that's it. So, first of all, the first topic is I will explain the TCG by color. What I mean by this is every color by the time of this recording has its own value. Some colors that you want to invest are more expensive than others. The colors are red, green, blue, purple, black and yellow. Now, all of these have obviously their own strategies and are unique on their own way. So first of all, although some colors are more expensive than others, if you don't like the color and are fortunate enough to just have all the money to invest in any color, you have a much more range, and I suggest you to try a lot before you buy a deck. But we'll get how you experiment with decks in a bit. So first of all, it's the red color. Red color is by far the most cheap color and many new players just invest in this color. Why is this? By the time of this recording, there are only two popular strategies on the red color, which is Straw Hats and White Bird. Now, Straw Hats are extremely cheap because they get a lot of reprints, and the White Bird, although a bit more expensive, are still in kind of the mid price. Now, because all the leaders that have red in them use one of these two strategies, the only thing you gotta buy is you will buy the Straw Hat core or the Whitebeard core, and if you want to invest in new red decks, you kinda just need to go from there. So when you buy one color, the first investment is the most expensive one, and then you only need to adapt for the other investments. But the red, because of the reprints, just stays in a very low price because you only buy it once, it gets a lot of reprints, and then you can evolve from there, so yeah. The next color is green. I'm gonna put the green color kinda in the mid tier. This is because, unfortunately, green color is not much in meta. This will change in OPO6. We'll get to that. I'm not saying that in OPO6 green color will be much more viable, but it will be at least viable. Now, green color is in mid tier for me, at least. This is my opinion, because there is one very popular strategy, which is the film strategy, and almost every single green color uses this strategy. Now, this strategy is not as expensive as some others that I'll tell you guys here, but it is pretty medium. There are some somewhat considered by some expensive cards, but not that much. So you can invest in green color. It is also a very high skill ceiling color, so yeah. If you want to invest in it, if you really like it, go ahead, but I don't know, it's not as much meta, and people usually don't invest in it because it's not as much meta, and that is what makes actually its value decrease a bit, because it's not meta. Meta does affect the value of the cards, and because green is not in the best situation as it comes to meta, their cards go down a bit by price. But there is also, I'm gonna give the example of green purple Doffy, where the cards are actually pretty cheap, because green purple Doflamingo can play a variant of the deck where he does not use the film engine and uses his own pirate's engine. This is an engine that's only used for him. It's a green engine and it's very cheap. So you can go the medium tier, so to speak, with the film engine, and you can go with the green purple Doffy tier, which is very, very cheap. And not bad, actually. They're kind of in the same power level, to be honest, because green purple Doffy is one of the best green leaders out there. Now, by the time of this recording, the OP06 did not release on the West, and on the East there are already more three leaders that are green, and two of them are doing very well on the meta. So maybe this has changed in OP06, and maybe the green will be a bit more expensive in the future of OP06. I'm not saying the OP06 set, because when it's on the set, the cards are getting released and reprint, and so the value won't go up as much. But yeah, for now it's only green purple Doffy. Next is blue color. The blue are cheap. Now the problem is, because blue does not get as much reprint as red, and by the way green does not have many reprints as red, nobody does, but the blue has a problem where the blue cards don't get reprint, the strongest cards. And these strongest cards are pretty stable in many blue decks. So what happens is, because they don't get a reprint, their price goes up a lot. The best example is Mihawk. Mihawk, you can see play in many decks, and people do like him, but because he does not get reprint, that makes his value go up. His price is too high. So the cards are either super cheap or the cards are either super high. Another thing is, blue is not popular for being strong individually as a pure blue color. We have the example of blue-black Sakazuki, where the deck pretty much plays most black cards, and then it just has the blue cards giving it some complement and some strength. So do keep that in mind. But I actually really do like the blue color. I actually have a lot of fun. But yeah, for now, as the meta stands, it's been using as a complement to other colors. As a pure color deck, it can be somewhat expensive, so I'm just gonna put it in the mid tier as well. Next is the black color. Black color, it's actually a pretty interesting color to explain, because here's the thing. By the time of this video, black color only has one viable meta, which is the Navy / CP9 core. This core is used in every single black deck. The only deck that's not using this purely is the Moira, which is a new OP06 leader, and even Moira uses some cards from this core. So what happened is, because black does not have as many reprints as the red color, this makes the value go extremely up, because we are talking about the very beginning OP01 and OP02 cards, as well as some OP03 and so on and so forth. But many are from the very beginning of the game and are incredibly powerful and still being used in every single black deck. Because it's not getting a reprint, makes the value go super up. So I'm actually gonna put this in the high tier when it comes to prices. But here's the thing, once you invest in this color, if you want to move along to any other black leader, you don't need to invest as much money. It's done, and you probably can use this strategy up to the other leaders. So do keep that in mind. Lastly is the yellow color. This, at least in my opinion, is by far the most expensive color. Now, this has the same problem with the black color, which is it does not get much reprints, and The cards that are strong are from very beginning sets, very starting sets that don't get reprinted anymore. Now, the yellow color, if you invest in a yellow core deck, it's probably gonna be Big Mom Pirates or Sky Island Pirates by the time that I'm telling you guys, by the time I'm recording this. This is extremely expensive. The reason is, I'm gonna talk to Big Mom Pirates because they are the most popular. They don't get reprinted, right? But here's the thing, the yellow color is by far the most powerful one. Thank God, it's actually pretty ironic, the color that counters yellow is the red, which is the cheapest one. But yellow has very strong cards, and that's why their price go up, as well as the not having the reprints, right? So what this means is, for example, I'm gonna give the example of Katakuri. A single copy of Katakuri is 50 euros on the card market. So by 200 you can have a set of Katakuris, and I'm just gonna make a comparison. With 200 euros you can almost make a full-on red deck. Yes, so do keep that in mind. But the yellow deck can be used, the core is a little bit more, not as much, but it is a little bit like the black navy CP9 core, where you can use it in many yellow leaders. But this is my opinion now. I believe Big Mom Pirates core only work well with Katakuri because of the triggers and the leader's ability of Katakuri. And the Sky Island variant only works best with NL because of leader ability of NL and his board building. But obviously there are people mixing it around, so if you guys have these two cores, it's gonna be easier to invest in the color after you do this jump start, but it will be the most expensive start you do. Okay, now that I've gone by every single color, I'm gonna explain how I go about the decks. Now, if you have the money, the thing you do is you go to this site. I'm gonna leave it in the description, don't worry. I'm gonna put it on the tab of the deck list, do not worry. And here, this is in the East format. We in the West region have an advantage that the East gets the cards first, so for us to invest in new cards, we only need to see the strongest decks and we can go from there, and we can invest from there. So how I go about things is I just scroll around and try to see a character that I like. In case you don't know, my favorite character is Law, and by the time you guys are watching it, I only have two decks where both of them are the leader Law. But I'm actually gonna use an example of the yellow-blue ace here, which is a deck I'm going to build for OPO6. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. How do you go about this? Very simple. So, you set up a budget based on the color. So, if you don't have much money, you need to go a little bit by color. I did this. I did not have as much money, so I went for the red color, which is the cheapest, and I actually found the Law. Not only is he my favorite character, he was actually the top one deck, or one of the top decks. So I got pretty lucky there. But what you do is, if you have, let's put it in perspective, all the money in the world, the only thing you do is you start by going here. You have the leaders that are winning locals and big tournaments, and you just start seeing around. As you can see, Blue Don Flamingo only got one top. If you want, you can check him out if you really like the character, but because he only has one top deck means he's probably not as strong, so I'll usually move along. But a deck that gets a lot of tops, it's this one, Blue Black Sakazuki. As you can see, the deck is the strongest in OPO5 and is still the strongest in OPO6, so it's getting a lot of tops. So if you have all the money in the world, so to speak, you can just invest in this. Obviously, I did tell you that the black can be a kind of expensive investment, but once you get it, I mean, this deck is amazing. So yeah. Another deck that's actually in a black color is the Gecko. As you can see, many tops. Oh, what the hell? This is a bug. This is a Geckomora deck profile. Many tops as well. And he's very new, he's new in OPO6, so they are using him more because he's new. Something that does not happen in the West, but I won't tell you guys about that. So the deck that I found very interesting was the yellow-blue ace. Now, by the time of this recording, blue-yellow ace just got released. But I found it very interesting that although he just got released, he already has 2 top decks, which we'll see in a minute. He already has 2 top decks, and I think this is too soon for a man to have already 2 top decks, so I found it that he probably gonna be viable. But always wait a little bit. Always make sure that you wait more time than normal, because you never know. For example, I have an example here, which is Yuta. Yuta got a good amount of tops in OPO5, but in OPO6, as you can see, she only got 3, and it was at the very beginning of the OPO6. Now, what this means is this card is probably... Oh, she actually just got a new top. Well, guess I was wrong. But this card was getting... this deck was getting very hyped up. Obviously, if you really like the green color, you can still buy her, and she still is a good investment when it comes to green. But she got 3 tops at the beginning of the 2 tops at the beginning, and people were starting to say that she was the green deck that counters all meta and so on. And this is not true. Sakazuki still came on top and still is the strongest deck. And the new ace just got released on Christmas, and he already got 2 tops. Now this is probably because the deck is new and many people try it, so it was bound for one of those deck lists to just reach top 1. But I still found the strategy very interesting, and so I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna have fun. I still have my other decks with Law, so I'm just gonna invest in it, and I'm gonna use it as an example. So you found a deck that you find interesting and really want to invest. What you do is you open at least 5 deck lists of that deck. I only have 2, but if you go for Sakazuki, you have more than enough. Now let's go to the deck list. What do you do from this? Very simple. You just look at them very quickly. This is the first one, and this is the second one. As you can see, there are common cards. These cards mean you can probably file them as staple. This means every single deck profile that runs blue, yellow, ace will run these cards. These are staples and are needed to, and are probably the best strategy for ace. Now, I'm just gonna say this, by the time of this recording, ace is pretty new, so his strategy can change. But for Sakazuki, it's very different. You already have the core, you have the staple cards, and then you have the cards that they don't share. For example, Tsuru, only 1 copy, and here she is not even here. Where are these additional cards that you don't see as much, as well as Eltor? These are tech cards. These are cards that you can look at from the various deck profiles, and then you can decide for yourself after trying the deck. We'll get to that again. I keep saying this. When you try the deck, if you like these cards or not, and then you can switch it up. So you have the deck core that you need to invest in, and you already are starting to know the tech cards. What you do now, I'm not gonna do this, is you read every single ability of the staple cards, and then you read your leader ability. So, I'm gonna assume you are a new player, so you won't understand very well why are these cards staples to this leader. I'm telling you to read all the abilities and the leader ability, so you can start and try to simulate by yourself why do they have so much chemistry, and start figuring out strategies in your head by yourself before you buy the deck. So you get the theory right, and you know what's the strengths of the deck and how, and kinda the feeling and strategy of the deck. But after you do this is very quick. You just get the core, and then you go try and find out how you get the core. Now, how do I get the core for the ace? This is from Structure Deck 13. This means it comes when I buy the Structure Deck. So this already makes the deck super cheap for me, because I only need to buy a Structure Deck and buy the rest of the cards from the side. Now, I'm sorry if I'm starting to go around a little bit, but I do really need to tell you guys like this. There's no other way. So, if I buy a Structure Deck, I get the leader and I get almost all the staple cards. Now, I did do some research and I only get 2 of the ace, and every single deck profile is running 4 ace, 4 Luffys and 4 Sabos, and they only come 2. And by the way, 4 Garps, they only come 2 as well. Should I buy 2 structure decks? This is very important for you to know. Now, when the structure deck comes out, especially structure decks like this that say they are the ultimate deck, usually vendors tend to abuse a bit on the price. So once this releases, the other staple cards that are of high rarity, so to speak, will be very expensive. They'll try to shark you and try to sell you by much higher value than the card actually is. So you can buy 2 structure decks, which will be pretty much the same price as if you bought 1 structure deck and then you bought the rest of the cards from the side, the ones that are missing. Or if you don't want to wait, just buy the 2 structures and you get everything, right? Obviously, this is not optimal. If you want to save money, what you do is you buy 1 structure deck, get a lot of it, and then you wait a little bit and just buy the rest when the price drops. Now, how do I go about this? How do I know how much money will be spent? Very simple. This has not released yet. I'm seeing the future right now. I know this deck will be released. What I need to do is go to my local shop and start asking when will this be released. Now, I kind of got ahead of myself and already know this is coming in April. Maybe April or August. Actually, I don't remember now. So what I do is, now I know in 2024, this deck will release in April. Let's just put it April. So I can start saving money to buy the structure deck. The other cards that are not in the structure deck and I can see the staple, for example, Sanji's Pilaf, this is released right now in OPO3. And the card is cheap, so you can just grab it and have it send it to your way and then leave it there up until the deck is released. This is pretty good, because now what we're going to do is we're going for the card market, which is a site I use to buy cards, but you guys can go to the TCG player, which I know it's the American site that most Americans use, but I'll use the European site. So let's go to this. What do I do from here? It's very simple actually. So you know the cards when they will be released. I know the structure deck only comes for the next year, so I can just save money for the structure deck up until then, but there are cards that are released now. So let's just go for Sanji's Pilaf, right? What you do is very simple. You look through it. Now you need 4 copies, so I'm just gonna use the filter here. There you go. You want English because you're on the West. There you go. Now, is this an acceptable price for you? If it is, just grab it and have it sent on your way. Why? Because if the deck turns out to be very meta, this will go up once the deck is released. So if in the East a deck is doing well, it's going to do well on the West as well, and once it gets released, people will abuse and just skyrocket the price, obviously. So if this is acceptable, I normally just buy the card and have it sent in my way. Even if the card kind of drops in popularity for decklist, I still like to have it because it's a good tech card that I can just sneak in to get some more of my own playstyle into the deck. Now, I'm gonna give you an example, which is Queen. Why am I telling you if the price is acceptable for you to just buy the deck? This is what I'm going to say to you. When I was investing in Red Purple already has had 4 tops, 4 top ones. So I was like, dude, I like Red Purple Law, might as well just start investing. This is a staple card in Red Purple Law. As you can see right now, it's at least 17 euro or 20. Let's just put 20, which is the most average. 20 euro. You know how much I got this card for at the time? 7. This was already a staple in many purple decks and it did not get reprints, that's why it was at 7 euro. But because of the skyrocket of the Red Purple Luffy in meta, Red Purple Law, Purple Luffy, every single purple deck runs this card. So people skyrocket the price and now it's at 20. So I saved 12 euros by just buying the card at the moment. So this is why going for the east and watching the meta on the east helps you to save some money in your future decks. This is the best example. Another example I'm gonna give, which I believe is very important, it's Gordon. By the time you probably guys are seeing this, there is a card that's going to be released that is the exact copy of Gordon. He only changes the name, which is Raise Max. Why am I telling you this? Because Gordon is an event only card. This means the only way you get this card is not by opening packs, not by buying structure decks. You need to go to events and win, and they give this card to you. This already makes the card skyrocket in price just as it is. You make it that it is a staple in a good amount of red decks, the price just goes up. Now, I got this card for 6 euro when I bought it, and it's at 11. Thankfully, it did not go as much in price as many start going up, but it still went a good amount. So this is just to give an example of event only cards that are super hard to find and don't get reprint. Thankfully this card is getting some sort of reprint by just transferring the other card, but what this does is people, for example me, that I'm running red purple law, will run 4 of these and 4 of that card because it's just good, you know. This is a powerful card, and the one that's reprinted is also powerful, so might as well just use 4 of each, right? But yeah, hopefully by the time you guys are watching, many cards that got reprints and the prices went down a lot. We saw how you go about things. So you know when the deck is coming out, you know the cards are already out, and so you decide whether to wait a bit for it to go down or just to buy. I am going to say this, normally you should just buy, because if the deck is already appearing on the site, then the card will probably go up a bit because it won't get reprints. These are cards from OPO2, OPO3, OPO4, and so once the OPO6 gets released, they are rare and rarer, so sometimes it's just better to buy the card at the time. But you need to decide which deck you wanna invest in, right? This leaves me for the next material, which is YouTube. You can just go to YouTube and see many other deck lists, many other gameplay, many other deck cards, and then you can see gameplay of that deck to see if you actually like it. You see good players playing the deck, hopefully. Sometimes it's not the case. Yep, that's my channel case. I'm just a dumbass going around with the deck. But you can see much better players that play well with the deck, and then you can see if you like the strategy. Not only that, remember when I told you to just read every ability? Once you go to YouTube and see gameplay, you start understanding a lot more of the deck, and then you start loving or hating the strategy more. So this is actually a pinnacle point for you to decide the deck you want to invest in. The other part to deciding a deck is the OPTCG sim. This is a simulator when they just give you every single card in the game and every single card that's yet to come on the West. As for the time that I'm recording, this still hasn't been uploaded to the site, or to the simulator, sorry, but it should not take long, to be honest. They're pretty quick about this, so I can just go to that simulator, build this deck. Let's just imagine I'm building this deck, and I can go against other people and try the deck myself. This also helps you to decide the deck you want to invest in. So, you saw a deck here, you went through the prices, everything. You went through YouTube, you go to the simulator, you try a deck, and you end up not liking this. What you do is you go every single step I just told you from the beginning. You go back, you try to find another deck that you might like, and then you just try and do everything that I just told you. Again, go to the simulator, you try it again, you don't like it, reverse. Always like this, up until you find the deck that you love and you really want to. This is obviously for one reason and one reason only. So you don't do money badly spent, and do money well spent on a deck that you like and will be actually strong with you. So yeah, the OPTCG simulator, I'll try to leave not where to download it, because you need Discord to download it, I'm gonna leave you a link on the tutorial how to download this simulator, so you guys can just mess around. The simulator is a really good tool because you can just mess around, like go ham on this. So yeah, don't feel bad if you're trying some crazy things. Some crazy things actually might work. Now this is the very last part of the video, which is you need to have patience. Let me just go back here. Now, there are some cards that are not from the structure deck, but have not been released just yet. This is the case of Charlotte Pudding from OPO6. This card has not been released. I cannot buy it right now, and it won't come out with the structure deck. But it will come out before the structure deck once the OPO6 gets released. Now, this is the very last tip, which is you need to have patience. I already told you that people shark at the beginning of a released product and just make the money go up, make the prices go up, so they can shark you for more money than the card actual value is. So what you do is you wait a bit when the OPO6 gets released for the cards that you still cannot buy. The ones that are already released, obviously you look at the price and you see if you want to invest, but the ones that have not been released, you wait for the date that they get released. Once they get released, you look at the price and you do the exact same you did from this. If you see that the price is actually acceptable for you, you buy the card. If not, don't worry, you can wait. By the time this card gets released, there'll be many more people opening packs and then putting it on the website because they don't need the card and just want to sell it. This will make obviously the card price go down, and then you'll probably get into the price that you were expecting. So yeah, you need to have patience with this. As for the structure deck, just wait for the structure deck to get released, and instead of buying from people, just buy from your local store. If you're trying to make a full-on deck that it's not in a structure deck but it's from packs, just wait a bit. Once the set gets released, wait a bit, the cards will go down a bit. Sometimes not much. Attention, this is the case for yellow because many cards that come from yellow are meta, and so ace cards, the cards that are the strongest, I gave in the example of category, may go down because they're being produced, but just a bit. So yeah, do keep that in mind. Before I go, there's still one last thing. I already told you about everything, but the last thing is, you're probably making this deck to go to locals, try locals, or any other tournament. I'm gonna tell you this. Every single deck list is subjective. This deck list right now will probably not be my deck list. Here's the thing: if I'm seeing some other deck profiles or leaders being played in my locals, for me to win those locals, I wanna try and find cards that counter those decks, right? So make sure that you see a lot of videos on YouTube, so you can see a lot of tech cards that may help you to counter out the many leaders, and then you just need to adapt. Most of tech cards will be cheap, so don't worry about it. So yeah, I think I covered every single thing. You guys can make now the most optimal deck for you, and I think for a most optimal price. I've been using this. I just watch the East meta and just keep track on the East meta, so when it gets releases on the West, I already have the cards that I need at a good price, and then I just need to invest in the cards that get released. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you. I'm very sorry if I went around a bit the subject, but it's really important to explain everything. So yeah, thank you so much. Like the video if you like the content, subscribe if you like law, and bye bye. Hi, this is editing Dr. Shambles. I just forgot to say one last thing. First, I'm sorry I said so many nows and so's during the video, and the other thing is, the West picks up the meta where the East left off. So the deck lists are always bound to change, so always save up some more money. So you buy the tech cards that will get popular on the West. The West always studies by their own once the cards get released here on the West. The East leaves the meta and go for the next set, and the West picks it up and still evolves it more. So keep that in mind. Thank you.